Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome inside University Credit Union Pavilion. A couple of 4-1 teams in the WCC getting set to go toe-to-toe as St. Mary's and Washington State is underway on ESPN+. Evan Giddings alongside Ryan Barnett with you here. And Ryan, a couple of teams that have played very well as of late. Washington State has won 5 of 6. Meanwhile, St. Mary's coming off its first conference loss of the season as the first shot is up by the Cougs, and the first rebound is also grabbed by Washington State.
A second chance opportunity for Washington State. That could be a key to success for the Cougars in this one. The Gales not the best defensive rebounding team, and it can lead to points like it did just there.
On the starting center for Washington State, Alex Colville has the first basket of the game, all of course led by seventh-year head coach Cami Etheridge. She'll be joined by the four-guard rotation in Tara Wallach, Eleanor Avila, Tuhina, along with Charlotte Abraham. Meanwhile, your starting five for St. Mary's, Jada Hunter and Edie Clark, as Hunter delivers a nice pass inside for Akuso, and she gets the Gales' first basket.
The Gales going with the two-point guard system. Hunter and Akuso. Hunter on to maybe help the Gales possess the basketball well as defend, and comes up with a big assist there.
Enforcing it, at the very least, a backcourt violation, and there it is. But Hunter, along with Edie Clark, making their first conference starts in Gales uniforms, and joined by the mainstays of Abigail Schaaf, coming off a career-high 19 points against USF, alongside Kennedy Johnson and, of course, Zariah Akuso. Johnson, one of the best performers in conference play, 15 points per game this season for St. Mary's. Schaaf inside to Akuso. Looking baseline, and then whips it out high to Hunter. The Laney College transfer hails from nearby Vallejo, California. Schaaf puts it on the deck. Had it stripped and stolen by Washington State.
Good hands there by number 19 over there, Charlotte Abraham. She's more than just a shooter, despite what the stats say, coming up with the pickpocket there.
Well, they have been right now feeding the interior presence of Colville. Back-to-back baskets to begin the game. Might at first glance through the first minute 45 think, hey, this is a Washington State team that likes to attack the paint. Well, that would actually not be the case because, Ryan, they hoist the most threes in the West Coast Conference.
Yeah, two very good shooting teams here.
Clark will tee up one and misfires for the Gales.
Yeah, Washington State, by volume, they make the most threes in the conference per game. They also attempt the most. Meanwhile, the Gales not attempting nearly as much, but the best three-point shooting team by percentage in this conference. We expected to see a shootout, but right now it's been the interior and Colville that have been doing work for Washington State.
Hunter getting dirty, but the ball forced out of bounds off her mitts.
That's exactly why Hunter's on the court to defend. She gets the start today over Emily Foy, who is a knockdown three-point shooter. A shooter, Hunter is not just 1 of 5 this season from 3, but she can defend and she can pass with the best of them.
Nice interior passing there from Colville, is getting the free throw line as the Washington State leading scorer, Tara Wallach, who will get to the stripe. Senior guard from Canada, all preseason selection. She, along with, of course, Colville, right now filling it up for Washington State, and she'll step to the free throw line for the first time.
Yeah, and you mentioned a four-guard rotation for Washington State. Wallach listed as a guard, but really anything but from the eye test. A ferocious rebounder, 6'2". She can shoot as well. I think that's why they give her the sort of call her a guard on this team, but she is in there to rebound. She leads this team in rebounding and is second in the team on the team and in the conference in block shots.
And this is the #1 team in terms of total blocks in the country as she knocks down a pair. And it's an early 6-2 edge for the Cougs here on the road.
Gales have been known to get into early deficits so far this season, but they've played excellent in the second half. Would love to see them come out with a good first quarter.
Yeah, knowing St. Mary's, as Akuso steps back, comes up short on the jump shot. #1, this is going to be a game they play from behind. That's what they do, like you mentioned. It's also going to be a close game. It feels like more than half of their contests this year have been decided by single digits, both wins and losses.
All but 2 this season.
There's Wallach from the corner. Misses, and Schaaf comes away. Washington State a one and done.
Bookends there for games that haven't been decided by by single digits. Just the opener against Cal and the last game against San Francisco. Everything else by 9 or less.
Ball poked loose by Villa and stolen by Tuhina. Up ahead, Johnson does a nice job to stifle Washington State in transition. As Wallach goes baseline, meets no resistance, might have got tipped from behind by Clark, and on the second chance, she's fouled and will get to the free throw line.
Wallach almost puzzled there, stunned with how open of pass she had to the basket. And again, if it was deflected, that could be the explanation why she left that layup so short. Good hands by Edie Clark, who will step off now and The Gales will go even smaller against this big Washington State side, bringing on Maya Jones to replace Edie Clark.
Yeah, they're now asking a lot from Schaff, both and Johnson, to kind of double up and pair in getting down and dirty with Coville, as Wallach's first free throw is up and good. And obviously, second-year head coach Jeff Kamen, his rotations have been a little versatile, should we say, during conference play and even beforehand in non-conference, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't play a lot of players. That is something that is absolutely an identity of the St. Mary's group. Akuso thought about the three, goes baseline, stops, and misfires.
Good to see Akuso getting more comfortable with that mid-range jumper, however. That was her game when she won WCC Freshman of the Year a season ago. Coming off a knee surgery, she didn't have it early on.
Abraham, another three-pointer, no good. Washington State's been ferocious on the offensive glass. Wallach's second chance misses. Here comes Jones. Maya Jones had just checked in after that last free throw. But back to the bench after starting really every single game this season for St. Mary's, now in her redshirt sophomore year. Hunter will tee up the triple and splashes it.
We said Jada Hunter wasn't a three-point shooter, just 1 of 5 on the season, but getting the start at the 2, and she buries that one to end a scoring drought for the Gales.
Well, empowered in terms of role by Coach Kamen and empowered in terms of willingness to shoot as St. Mary's has the steal. Forced 19 turnovers last Thursday against USF as Akuso gives it up to Jones. She's not shy, and she hits.
The Gales can really knock it down from beyond the arc. Shot 9 of 14 from 3 against San Francisco. That was the biggest positive takeaway from that loss. Glass half full kind of guy here, and they'll take it there, but now we'll have someone heading to the free throw line for 3.
And it might be a moment as Abraham got hit by Jones on the three-point attempt, looking to respond, and is down on the deck. Something you never want to see. Charlotte Abraham, the freshman guard from France, won a silver medal at the 2023 FIBA 3-on-3 Under-18 World Cup a couple of years ago. Has been able to help Washington State. And at the 5:24 mark here of this first period, St. Mary's a couple of threes. Athletic trainer for Washington State is going to go check on her.
Something you never want to see, a promising young student athlete in the form of Abraham, an excellent three-point shooter. Hard collision out there, almost converted on the 3, which would have set up a 4-point play. Missed it a bit strong, but a hard collision over there in the corner, and she is still being checked out by the trainer in some considerable discomfort. It looks like Washington State will bring on Jenna Villa here, who had been platooning in the starting lineup with Abraham at the 2-guard position, but just never something you want to see a player going down and in some considerable discomfort over in the corner.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Cammie Etheridge, head coach for Washington State, is, talking about the willingness to shoot that St. Mary's has had early on here. It feels like that's what she's really given the majority of her team. And Abraham this season has been a big part of that, especially as of late, has come on strong. He's only started 5 games this season, but he's played over 18 minutes per game, a 37% free throw shooter, and fortunately is able to get up and walk off her own power here to the sideline.
Yeah, gingerly making her way over.
Just a stone's throw from each other. And, of course, this is the rule when a player exits due to injury. The team receiving the free throws is allowed to choose their shooter. So Villa will come on and step in to take those free throws. Hails from, as you see there, Arlington, Washington makes the first 2. And this is also a good free throw shooting team in Washington State. So far this season above, right at around 71%.
Good free throw shooting team, but they don't get to the stripe all that often. In fact, the least frequently visiting free throw line shooting team.
Jones just hit a 3 in the previous possession before the foul, misses her second attempt. And Jones, of course, wrapped up, got that first personal foul, and then Johnson gets wrapped up, forces a jump ball, possession in her own favor of the Gales.
Great hands again by Kennedy Johnson. She is such a versatile player for St. Mary's. Not just the best scorer on the floor, but leads the team in rebounds, assists, steals, and block shots, and there forces a turnover with the tie-up.
Yeah, and she has had to do so much, of course, now in her senior season. She's a local product from Hayward, went to Bishop O'Dowd High School. She steps out and thinks about the 3 there. Hunter instead will tee it up, in and out. Schaff the offensive rebound. Out to Jones. St. Mary's has not been shy from the 3-point range. Last 3 games, over 36% from distance. much better than their start to this season, gaining some confidence on the offensive end. Schaaf steps through, forces a little bit of contact, doesn't get the call, but still puts it in.
Abby Schaaf getting more and more comfortable offensively. Didn't see much time at Long Beach State. Now realizing she is a key player on this Gales side, and she picks up the bucket there.
And now there's going to be a stoppage as we send it to our first media timeout. 4:23 remaining, all tied up here in the first quarter between a couple of teams vying for second place in the WCC. More St. Mary's and Washington State women's basketball when we return. Welcome back to Moraga, where St. Mary's and Washington State are tied at 10 here midway through this first quarter, and the Cougs will not be able to take the lead as blowing the bunny out of the timeout is Diana Mendez.
Lucky break for the Gales. Let's see if they can make Washington State pay for it.
Abby Giddings alongside Ryan Barnett with you here on ESPN+. Maya Jones has hit a three along with Sasha Hunter to begin this, Jada Hunter to begin this ball game for St. Mary's. Makuso still looking for her first basket, puts under the deck, kicks it out. Now inside, Schaaf had that stripped but out of bounds off of the team in red.
6 left on the shot clock here for the Gales. Aukuso so good at driving the ship on these baseline out of bounds plays. Lets her team know they break their huddle, calling out traffic now.
Makuso to Schaaf, mid-air, mid-adjustment, just missed.
Maybe a little bit unaware of the clock situation. They're thinking they had less time on the shot clock, going for the lob play to Schaaf, but it goes for naught.
And again, Charlotte Abraham with an injury earlier in this game. Was not back in. And do not see her on the bench.
Looks
Actually
like
just
she's
headed to the locker room.
Yeah, over to the locker room to get checked out.
Villa here with 5 to shoot, steps into the lane. Nice little cut, just misses, and then a foul is forced on the floor. And that's that size of Washington State showing up. Mendez wrapped up, looked like Foy. He's going to get tagged with the personal.
You know, it's interesting, Evan. This Washington State team actually in the bottom third of the WCC in rebounding margin, but again, using their size to take advantage of the Gales. They're also in the bottom third in free throw shooting, but already are a 6 of 7 from the stripe. So sort of breaking the scouting report, I'm sure, that head coach Jeff Kamen and company set up.
Osungu Afiaki into the game to provide St. Mary's a little bit more size. She closes out there on Tuhina, who delivers it back up top. Gales in somewhat of this patented hybrid 2-3 zone that they run as Villa rims that one out. Mendez is there for the offensive rebound and scores.
Doesn't miss that time. Mendez rips it down and in the paint, in close, able to finish, get the friendly roll off of the iron.
Already 5 offensive rebounds in the first quarter for Washington State. To the high post for Johnson. Swings it. Schaaf shot it very well from three-point range against USF, but cannot connect here. Was perfect against the Dons. Misses her first attempt.
And knocked down her first 3 in quite a while against San Diego here at home, and then a perfect clip against San Francisco. She's gaining confidence, the junior.
Jones steps through the lane and comes away with the ball and then gives it right back to Washington State. Tuhina cuts inside and now passes out to Villa, who gets tangled up with Johnson. That's a jump ball. Possession arrow to the red.
And you never want to see the turnover there in open court that Maya Jones throws, but great job transitionally on defense to, first of all, build a wall, shut down an easy layup look, and then force the held ball, allow the Gales defense to find its shape here now on the baseline inbound play.
There's the freshman from Portland, Mariana Schminor, who's going to check in for the first time. Such a rabid defense that forces and has forced over the last, I believe, 3 or 4 games, 19 or more turnovers from the opposition. Points off of turnovers was a big factor in the loss against USF last Thursday. Here's Mendez, kind of an errant shot. It's going to be out of bounds in St. Mary's basketball.
And that's exactly what head coach Jeff Kamen wants, that swarming defense. And when it works, it is stifling. We saw examples of it both last year and this year, his first 2 seasons at St. Mary's, when the Gales can force those 19, 20, 21 turnover games and then take advantage. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that against San Francisco. That's when they play their best.
Well, and really the biggest difference he was telling me yesterday between last year and this year is just some of the personnel. A very young St. Mary's group, led by Maya Jones, one of the elder stateswomen. Little hook shot is good. But Maya Jones, Emily Foy, a couple of sort of cultural tone setters, have really helped everyone, and it's been a bevy of transfers that have added on to a nice freshman class. tic-tac-toe move inside as Mendez will whip it out, and Wallach misses on the three. But overall, it does have a different feel in Moraga to this women's basketball program than last season.
Well, it's always interesting when you have a first-year head coach come in. Obviously, not everyone on the team last year were his recruits. This is the first year where you could really look and see this is a Jeff Cammon-built team, not just coached team. And so far, they have played well. They took some time to grow together, but they figured it out.
Foy puts it on the deck and softly touches down. St. Mary's takes the lead. Washington State with a 2-for-1 opportunity if they want. Mendez, little no-look to Villa, who puts it in. Delicious dime there from Mendez, and Villa comes away with the deuce.
Just about a 2-second differential between the shot and game clock. Head coach Jeff Cammon notices that, sends up the orders to his troops and his point guard, Mariana Heischman, or to take some air out of the basketball here, not to let Washington State take advantage of that 2-for-1 opportunity.
Yeah, 2.5 separation shot clock and game clock. Heischman or inside to Johnson. Open lane. There's supposed to be help, but none came. Shot clock is dark. Last second heave. That's no good. And St. Mary's, after falling behind early 8-2, will take a 2-point lead into quarter number 2. 16-14 when we return here in Moraga.
After that, 2 of their next 11, including 0 of 5 from 3. The Gales defense has been stifling Washington State, no room to breathe in this one. And meanwhile, the Gales offense has been converting at a high clip, 50% to be exact.
Johnson trying to aid in that effort and does. Little fadeaway from inside the paint, and Kennedy Johnson has her second basket. Her first basket, pardon me. Washington State picking up a foul. It was Villa who grabbed her first prior to the Johnson bucket. Washington State aided by 6 of 7 at the free throw line in that first quarter. 0 of 5 from three-point range. Villa drives into the paint. Soft look, no good. Heischman Orr comes away with the rebound. Smallest player on the floor. Jones, who had 5 points in 6 minutes off the bench, gives it up. Heischman Orr looking for a cutter, and so we'll back things out. St. Mary's not afraid to play in a more methodical manner. Afiaki inside. Little nifty footwork, and can't convert.
And there's been a lid on the bucket for Milisungu Afiaki of late. Was hoping that one would go down, boost her confidence. Obviously not in the starting lineup today, giving her a new look off the bench.
Villa from the corner, no good. Mendez there and puts it in. And pardon me, that is Candice Pateku, the center and redshirt freshman from Niger. So checking into the game. And again, this is where Washington State can just run deep with 3 different options at that 5 position, all well above 6 feet. Afiaki give and go to Johnson, who lays it in. Nice delivery and finish from St. Mary's.
And the Gales offense is slicing through this Washington State defense like a hot knife through butter. Washington State against Oregon State held them to just 52 points, but that Oregon State offense is nothing like this St. Mary's offense. Oregon State, though, the lowest scoring offense in the WCC. Same can't be said for this Gales.
Afiaki, long 2, rattles it in. That can get her going as the Gales take a 6-point lead.
Good to see her hitting that jump shot. Afiaki struggling with it of late, but gets one to go and hopefully more to come after.
Jenna Villa this time cannot respond with a 3-pointer. Ice cold from distance are the Cougars as Heischman Orr draws contact and will get to the free throw line. St. Mary's playing with pace and being rewarded.
First trip to the line for the Gales today, but it's all starting inside out. The Gales, the mid-range jumpers and threes going first, and there they're able to find more space with their cutters. And in this case, Heischman Orr goes through the contact, can't get the basket to go, but will have a chance at the line to add to this 6-point St. Mary's lead.
Has only gotten to the free throw line 8 times in her freshman season. Has made 4 of them. But during her senior season in high school, hailing from Portland, was a 14-point per game scorer. 4 assists, 4 rebounds. Did it all in the Pacific Northwest. Comes up short there. Alcuso, along with Schaff, return. And Wallach back in the game for Washington State. You know, it's interesting, the fact that as Heischman nets the second free throw and Hunter will replace her, despite Washington State having the clear advantage on the inside. And you mentioned kind of the rebounding discrepancy. Points in the paint tonight also in favor of St. Mary's, +6 so far in this game.
Yeah, it's all about those cutters for the Gales. They're not the traditional post-up points in the paint, but they've been able to find space with the cutters and make open layups, which Washington State has struggled with tonight.
Pateku,
there are captivating
the first,
moments.
The second cannot come up with it, but it looks like it's off of Afiaki.
There it goes again, though. The Washington State has had at least 5 or 6 looks point blank inside. Granted, they've been hampered by the Gales defense, but given up about 3 or 4 inches are the Gales defenders, and Washington State just hasn't been able to convert on the interior.
Kira Gardner also in, setting a screen there as the pass goes around the corner and then into the basket, courtesy of Pateku.
That was one of the better defensive rotations for the Gales. Hand in Pateku's face by Melisungu Afiaki, but able to get it to go still was Pateku.
What a pass by Akuso. Jones can't reward her. That was a no-look cross-court delivery, pinpoint. And so now Washington State will try to respond. Gardner the opening. Nets it from 3. Gardner, who appeared in 33 games last year, a 35% three-point shooter, the junior hailing from Raymond, Washington. Akuso will swing it around high. Hunter again starting her first conference game as a member of St. Mary's. Schaff a little fadeaway, puts it in. Miguel Schaff has been shooting with confidence, especially since the start of conference play.
And so far tonight, everyone's shooting with confidence for the Gales, who are up to a 55% clip from the field. Everything going in so far for the Gales. Mid-range from 3 and in close.
Gardner again, back-to-back triples. Nylon there. And so here comes Washington State as the 3-ball begins to emerge.
Each team with just 2 made threes now, but 2 for Washington State in the second quarter to the Gales 2 in the first quarter. And what was a 7-point lead for the Gales is now quickly down to a 1-point deficit for the Cougars.
Have trailed by as many as 5, is led by as many as 7. Schaff with 8 to shoot now, looking for Afiaki, but there was no window to put that ball through. 4th turnover of the game for St. Mary's. Wallach will back it out. Finds an open shooter. Top of the key 3 is good. Washington State with 3 straight trays as Jenna Villa drops it in, and the Cougars are back on top. Timeout St. Mary's. Akuso will swing it around high. Hunter again starting her first conference game as a member of St. Mary's. Schaff a little fadeaway, puts it in. Miguel Schaff has been shooting with confidence, especially since the start of conference play.
And so far tonight, everyone's shooting with confidence for the Gales, who are up to a 55% clip from the field. Everything going in so far for the Gales. Mid-range from 3 and in close.
Gardner again, back-to-back triples. Nylon there. And so here comes Washington State as the 3-ball begins to emerge.
Each team with just 2 made threes now, but 2 for Washington State in the second quarter to the Gales 2 in the first quarter. And what was a 7-point lead for the Gales is now quickly down to a 1-point deficit for the Cougars.
Have trailed by as many as 5, is led by as many as 7. Schaff with 8 to shoot now, looking for Afiaki, but there was no window to put that ball through. 4th turnover of the game for St. Mary's. Wallach will back it out. Finds an open shooter. Top of the key 3 is good. Washington State with 3 straight trays as Jenna Villa drops it in, and the Cougars are back on top. Timeout St. Mary's. Here on ESPN Plus, and that was the Washington State prior to the media timeout, Ryan, that it feels like we were promised.
Yeah, absolutely. Washington State 6-0 run generated on a couple of wide open threes that they made, and unfortunately the Gales had some defensive lapses that Washington State couldn't make them pay on in the first quarter. They're making them pay here in the second, but Maya Jones getting a chance at the stripe to tie things up here.
Yeah, St. Mary's stuttering a bit offensively, and so Jones will try and generate some easy offense by getting to the free throw line. Had 5 points off the bench, was a bright spot offensively in that first quarter, helped sort of flip the game in favor of St. Mary's. And you mentioned this before the game, Ryan, but the fact that Jones is now coming off the bench, never look at these types of things as demotions, but just differing roles. And Jones is still playing a lot, but has a chance to do some special things now, aiding that secondary offense.
Certainly, and she can do so much for the Gales, especially when they go small. I mean, you look at Maya Jones, good size, good length to her. She can play any position 1 through 4 and has been a primary scorer and playmaker for the Gales this season. So excited to see what she can do in this role as the 6th man for the Gales. Know what she can do as a starter. She became an everyday starter after the injury to Addie Whedon last season, but she can do everything for the Gales and comes up with an interception right there.
Doing it on both ends, free throws, a steal, distributing, Foy, wing 3, no. Close look there as now Hunter actually keeps that in and keeps it for St. Mary's, tossing it off the leg of Villa.
Jada Hunter, I mean, she is a player that plays with her motor going 110% every single possession. I mean, the offense, it was slow and go. It's coming. It's developing now, but a maximum effort kind of player. Got her into foul trouble, actually, against San Francisco, but beyond that, 2 back-to-back 8-point games. So the offense coming together, but the motor's always been there.
Jones misfires on the 3 there. St. Mary's has a team 2 of 10 from downtown. Washington State has hit their last 3 threes. Can they make it a 4th? No good. Wallach there for the offensive rebound and then throws it away. Who else? Maya Jones comes away with the steal.
Alters the 3-point shot after the offensive rebound, comes up with another turnover force against this Washington State team that usually possesses the basketball very soundly.
Akuso with a sweet free throw line J. St. Mary's back in front.
That's Z's game. She can pull up from the elbow, from the stripe, or from the baseline. Anything 15 feet and in, she's just as close to automatic as you can get.
Gardner swings it. No, you're right. Zariah Kuso, last year's freshman of the year in the WCC, has made a lot of strides in this offseason with not much time to do so because of a meniscus injury, as there's a foul called against St. Mary's.
It really took her a while to get her feet back under her after that injury.
Pardon me, it was against Coville.
It's great to see that she's getting that confidence. We actually talked about it, Z and I, post-game after the San Diego victory for the Gales, that she's gotten more and more confident with that jump shot. She didn't feel confident leaving her feet early on in the season, but now finding her feet under her again, and she is becoming more and more comfortable scoring off the dribble with that little 15-foot J.
Yeah, it's been difficult to kind of integrate her back into what St. Mary's has been working on, but obviously such an integral player to what they do. So is Emily Foy, who steps back and drains the 3.
The 3 is coming in waves for both teams, now for the Gales. Emily Foy, that's a tough shot. Hand in her face, step back, she's able to bury it and push the Gales' lead back to 2 possessions at 5 points.
Foy in her sophomore season. There's Akuso, says, get that out of here.
A little extra on it, too. Had something to say for Villa after that massive swat. Big-time play from your point guard, not your expected shot blocker.
Yeah, Coach Kamen asks a lot of his players. Akuso, right place, right time. No, you're right. Didn't have to say a word, but said everything. And here's Estera Tuhina. Last year, honorable mention, the freshman in the Pac-12, which right now is laying dormant, awaiting the new Pac-12 in 2026. Tuhina, with 3 to shoot, has got a hoist, has it blocked by Hunter. Akuso comes away with it.
Not sure if that was an over-the-top pass towards Coville or a shot. Either way, the Gales will end up with it and a chance to build on this 5-point lead.
Akuso working on Wallach now. Gets to her spot, steps through, off back rim, no, and then tips it out of bounds.
Again, that's a shot that Z isn't taking earlier on in the season, though. Glad to see her able to do that. She gets her defender Wallach off her feet, steps into the jumper. Just more and more excited to see both the maturity and now in her sophomore year, Akuso, as well as the comfort on that right leg that's sleeved up, but getting more and more comfortable with it, building up strength in that leg after the injury in the offseason.
Well, not an easy team to go at one-on-one. Again, 6.8 blocks per game. That's 3rd in the country for this Washington State team. As Villa misses everything, that's an air ball.
And again, that's because of the stifling defense by the Gales. Even though Villa doesn't have anyone in her face, Emily Foy was on the deck. She deflected the ball before it got to Villa, and there was a chance that she could have come up from behind with a swat there, so rushing the shot is Villa, and she sends it way long.
And now a pair of underclassmen will man the backcourt position as Heishman Orr comes into the game. Edie Clark also in, offering some size for St. Mary's. Little handoff. Heischmann thought about it. Washington State's done a pretty good job defensively of keeping St. Mary's off the three-point line. Just 3 of 11. Jones looking for Clark, and it's going to be out of bounds off of Gardner. And now Jean Chu will check in for the first time. Gardner, a transfer after 3 seasons at the University of Taipei. And now on the Palouse. Enters in for the first time this evening. Hunter will trigger the inbounds of Jones. Good position, little spin through move. Soft touch with the left hand.
That's big time from Maya Jones. That's called knowing your rims. Maya Jones has worked on that shot every day in practice. Don't know if that's going down out in Pullman, but definitely here in Moraga, she knows how to get that friendly roll off the iron.
Yeah, this Moraga rim is a little more kind to the home team. 7-point lead for St. Mary's, largest of the game. Wallach with 6. No opening on the baseline. Nice dump off to Coville. Caught once, but scores right before the horn.
Gales doing everything they can there, doing everything right. A block by Jones, but it falls back into the 6'6" Coville. She's every inch of 6'6", and she will not be denied scoring that one.
And Jones dragged the pivot foot. And so that's going to be a traveling violation.
That Coville bucket actually ended a 9-0 run for the Gales. It started with them down by a possession, built that lead back up to 7 after the Coville bucket goes to 5 points, but the Gales still ahead here nearing the halftime break.
And now for St. Mary's, Sasha Murphy is going to check in for the first time.
Known for her tenacious defense, Sasha Murphy comes on here looking to deny Washington State a bucket going into the break.
Yeah, a lot of different center looks as Coville dives inside and then scores. And now St. Mary's will get a chance at the last look of the half. Looking to go into the break by at least a lead of 3. Shot clock dark now. And a foul called out high against Chu. And that's going to be number 5. That is not a smart foul as Chu commits a foul well beyond the three-point line, and that will send Heischmann to the free throw line.
So maybe not the last shot of the half for St. Mary's, but a chance to extend their lead out to 2 possessions before Washington State gets a chance at what would be the last shot with 15.4 remaining here until the half and the shot clock off.
It also gives Coach Kamen an opportunity to substitute and bring a little more size in to sort of just counter the last defensive possession and sort of steal some points as Heischmann splashes the first free throw. Makes them both. So big free throws there. Now an opportunity to, again, steal a possession. Johnson will check in for Heischmann.
The Gales will pick up the press as well, see if they can potentially force a turnover, get another look at the basket before half.
Up ahead here. Tuhina up high. Wallach. Still plenty of time. Tuhina will take the early shot. Misses. Ball tipped. Loose. Sprayed away. Murphy comes away with it. St. Mary's won't get a final shot, but they get a final stop, and they'll take a 5-point lead into the locker room. 36-31 St. Mary's here at home in a battle of 4-1 opponents in the WCC. And again, Ryan Barnett back with your halftime report after this on ESPN+. How St. Mary's has had to adjust and now integrate some of these pieces, and so far it's been fantastic. A 4-1 start to begin conference play with a chance to get a 5th here tonight. But we are underway here in the second half. And for Washington State in that first half, it was Alex Coville, the 6'4" player right there, with the ball knocked away that had a game-high 8 points for the Cougs. And the shot is off the mark underneath the basket from Eleanor Villa.
And again, Washington State sped up to a pace they're not used to playing, and it forces an errant shot.
Akuso patient, but misses the jump shot. Shot there for the offensive rebound. Leaves it off the front of the rim. And Washington State catches a break.
Only the second offensive rebound by the Gales. They had a chance to make it 2 for 2 on second chance points. Goes for naught.
And there is Tuhina. Her three-point shot cannot connect, but Wallach, another offensive rebound. +6 in the first half in terms of rebounds, but mostly because of the offensive end. +8 on the offensive glass as this ball is thrown away and stolen by Jada Hunter. Takes her way into the paint and finishes strong.
And I love the aggressive nature there by Jada Hunter to take that herself. I think earlier on in this season, she wouldn't have done that. She would have looked to pass out of it. Instead, goes through the contact and finishes with ease off the window.
Just her third start of the season, #1 in her time as a Gale in conference play, as that from the corner is connected on by Eleanor Avila.
Very quiet first half from the leading scorer for this Washington State side, Eleanor Avila. Cannot let her heat up. That was just her second bucket and her 5th point, or points 3, 4, and 5, I should say, coming off of that triple from the Italian national.
Again, #1 in terms of three-point attempts for this Washington State team, but they shoot just 31%. Villa's sub-30, and that is stolen away by Coville. Here comes Villa, Jenna Villa. Tuhina. Jenna Villa came in pretty much midway through that first quarter, and then Washington State is stuck with her. Gets fouled on the baseline, and that'll be St. Mary's first team foul.
I do want to call attention to the fans at home. We have seen Charlotte Abraham come out of the locker room. She is on the bench, looks like in a warm-up top, but likely will not be available going forward in the second half.
Yeah, does not have either ankle or knee wrapped up, which is at least a better sign than not, but Abraham got fouled on a jump shot in the first half and had to leave the game. Jones comes away with the steal. That's her third in the ball game and finds Foy in transition. Spots up, in and out. Clark there for the offensive rebound, though. Finds Hunter, stops, and misses. Some good looks for the Gales in that possession.
Interesting. It's the Gales who have had a lid on the basket up in close here in the second half, as opposed to that being Washington State in the first half.
Wallach throws that in, and all of a sudden it's a one-point game. And those trays have come in flurries for Washington State. We'll see if their rim opens up a little bit.
Look at the two leading scorers on this Washington State team. Wallach and Villa combined 3 of 15 from the field, so credit to the Gales defense there.
Clark.
But bucket's starting to go down.
Rejected by Coville there. One of the first few sort of true post plays from St. Mary's tonight. That's stolen by Clark and then taken by Tuhina. Nice recovery from Washington State. What a beautiful floater there, tossed in by Eleanor Avila as she begins to find the range.
Villa's a 3-level scorer for this Washington State team, and that is why she is the leading scorer on this squad and will likely be an all-WCC selection.
Also playing through a bit of pain, took a shot to the face midway through that first quarter. So Washington State battling some injuries in-game, and she stays in, and that's going to be off of Clark. Cougars basketball.
I will say this about the Gales, they do need a little bit more, and I'll be honest, a lot more from their post players, whether that be Melisungu Afeaki or Edie Clark. I think that's the one point that teams look to exploit when they go against this Gales squad, and you'll see it here. They'll opt at times to go to this 5-guard lineup, Abby Schaaf kind of a hybrid guard forward at the 5, but they'll do that just because they need more offensive attention that Edie Clark and Melisungu Afeaki have not been able to provide this year.
Villa splashes another 3. Washington State warming up. That's an 11-0 Cougars run. And they take a 4-point lead. Timeout, St. Mary's.
A little hasty on the call there on the timeout by head coach Jeff Cameron. It looked like the Gales had something set up underneath the Kennedy Johnson, but the timeout taken first.
With the 6:07 left, that will send us to immediate timeout. We'll be back after this here in Moraga. Some work to do for St. Mary's on the other side on ESPN+. And Ryan Barnett with you here on ESPN+. And Coach Cameron out of the timeout looking for a smaller lineup with Kennedy Johnson back on the floor. Switching things. Zone on zone type of attack tonight as Jones stops. Cannot hit, and Coville skies high for the rebound.
And that's been the difference. The Gales hit those shots in the first half. They have not been able to get those to go down after their first bucket here in the second half. They extended their lead back to 7 points. Since then, 11-0 Washington State. It's been raining threes in Moraga for the Cougars.
Eleanor Villa's got 7 points in this quarter alone. Nearly makes it double digits. In and out on the 3. Gales catch a break. And this has been at the end of the floor that they've had a hard time cracking the code. Just 2 points so far in this third quarter, now midway through for St. Mary's. Jones, who had 9 points to lead all Gales in the first half, tries to put it on the deck. Crossover into the paint, slips through, comes up short. Villa the rebound.
Jones seems to have been hung on all night by the Washington State defenders. Hasn't gotten many calls, but to the referee's credit, it's been both ways. Both teams have played very physical brands of basketball. Haven't heard too many whistles so far.
She's done a nice job defensively. Schaaf right there getting set to inbounds as Afiaki will return, but not after immediate timeout. With 4 minutes and 53 seconds left, we'll take a quick stoppage and be back after the break, I believe. We're going to step aside here on ESPN Plus and return with more in the third quarter after this.
The second timeout, the floater was the first time.
At the University of Arizona, we believe everyone is born with wonder. That thing that says, I will not accept this one.
Have a good one.
Another good reason to check GoodRx.
A couple of quick stoppages. Inserted freshman Marta Alzina. Washington State in the zone. Both teams differing zones, but still leaning more into that sort of a man-to-man. Akuso stepping through, finds an open Afiaki, and hits the J.
Again, that's all the Gales need from Afiaki. She has been left open all season long for those elbow jumpers, and she's almost been timid to take them, the San Diego transfer. As those continue to fall, she'll continue to get more confidence there.
A tough assignment on the other end as Colville is into double digits. With her fifth basket, 5 for 5 from the floor. There's been a handful against this St. Mary's defense. And no, you're right. Someone like Melisungu Afiaki, and Coach Cameron has discussed the fact that though she's been a little cold as of late from the floor, Schaaf nearly turns it over. She does offer a lot of West Coast Conference experience, especially from her time with San Diego. 4 to shoot now. Akuso blocked away by Wallach. Ball loose on the deck, and that's a shot clock violation.
There's that shot blocking that we expected to see from Washington State, numbered 1 and 2 in the conference in the forms of Colville and Wallach in shot blocking, both with 30-plus rejections. But for the Gales, they got to continue to try and go inside with their cutters, try and beat them with their speed. They were able to do that in the first half. Remember, yes, Washington State has taken back momentum, but this is a 4-point game still.
Wallach comes up short on that open three. Washington State 5 of 10 from the floor to start, 3 of 6 from three-point range. Meanwhile, St. Mary's on this end, 2 for 10. Foy kicks it, and that's a backcourt violation.
And there have been more than a few times the Gales have dribbled the basketball off of their own feet, and those are the turnovers you can't have. If Washington State is going to play aggressive over-the-top defense and earn steals that way, that you can live with if you're trying to put the ball into scoring position if you're the Gales, but you cannot have those unforced errors to give Washington State more possessions.
Jones and Hunter will check back in for St. Mary's. Same 5 on the floor for head coach Cammie Etheridge. Colville up top. And this is where St. Mary's can also make its presence felt. Defensively, that is their calling card. Nice drive by Alzina, dumps it off. Colville lost her footing. Johnson steals it.
Showing off her strength there. Kennedy Johnson just rips it away from Colville to earn the steal and the possession for the Gales.
Johnson, 8 points in the first half. Pardon me, 6 points, still sitting on it. The team's leading scorer has notched that up to about 15.5 points per game in conference play. Akuso here with not a lot of time to work. Tees up the three. All net.
And that's part of Zariah Akuso's game that she doesn't show often, but she is a consistent three-point shooter when you beg her to take it. Washington State there Good defense. Alcuso, end of the shot clock. Why not? Quick trigger, and it's a 1-point game.
And you can see how the offensive side can carry towards the other end. A little more intensity on that possession with Alcuso ripping it out of bounds. Coming back in the game for Washington State is Mendez, and she'll replace Coville. Probably a happy sight for St. Mary's, as Coville, I mean, really in both halves has made things extremely difficult, putting pressure on the paint.
And the only thing that stopped her so far is in her endurance, just needing to get a breather off the court. But 5 of 5 from the field is Coville as she takes a break.
Villa nets the three, corner triple. Eleonora Villa heating up, now 10 points in the game.
Just one field goal made in the first half for Villa, but now she is showing her signature brand of basketball that Cougs fans know and love.
Straight line drive from Kennedy Johnson, saw some daylight and took it to the hole.
The Gales have shown they can beat Washington State's defenders off the dribble. Good job there by Kennedy Johnson, taking advantage of that window of space she saw, takes it to the rim and finishes through some hampering defense. Just like that, one possession game again, 47-45, and we expect this one to be close all the way to the finish line.
Wallach got tangled up down low with Jones and still managed to put it in off the glass. Beautiful finish there from Wallach. Washington State, the 9-point edge here in this third quarter, 18-9, and there's a block shot off of the Kennedy Johnson attempt. Under a minute to play here in the third quarter. Nice cut from Villa and a beautiful bit of English to finish.
Really quick cut there by Villa. Losing her spot there was Melisungu Afiaki, but looking to answer here with the jumper.
Bit long on the jump shot. Jones down to the deck for it. Somehow keeps it in, but no other Gales were in the vicinity. Alzina, Hunter might have got away with just a straight shove.
Got two hands on her. Surprised to not hear the whistle for the hand check.
Villa cannot take advantage. Also got hit a little bit, and you can see Cami Etheridge is incensed on the sideline. Understandably so.
Yeah. Gales getting away with one there, but now with the chance after the miss from Washington State for the last shot of the third quarter, try and get some momentum rolling into the fourth.
Can they take advantage of the final look of this third quarter? 10 seconds here for Alcuso. Looking at Villa. Now picks up her dribble with 4. No one's open. Throws it over to Johnson. Has to hoist at the horn. Back rim, no. And St. Mary's. 10 minutes remain between the Gales and the Cougars. Both teams trying to move to 5-1, and an absolute offensive clinic in that third quarter by Washington State, Ryan. As Maya Jones begins with a clinic of her own, and St. Mary's is on the board.
Gales will certainly take that to try and get some sort of momentum swinging back their direction. Cuts it back to 4. The Gales, though, we talked about at halftime, one of the keys to success in the second half, continue to keep the turnover numbers down. They had 5 turnovers in the first half, 5 in the third quarter. The only positive for the Gales, that only turned into just 2 points off of those turnovers, but it limited your possessions. More possessions for Washington State. They converted on more of those, and that's why they were able to take the lead back.
An 11-0 run amidst that third quarter. The difference in the corner, 20-9 Washington State, as Mendez gets to the free throw line off of the Jada Hunter foul and misses the first. But, I mean, 20 points in a quarter, not that outlandish in today's game, but more St. Mary's than 9 points offensively, struggling a little bit to find those good looks.
Certainly. I mean, you talk about the familiarity of seeing 20 points in a quarter. The Gales did it in the second quarter, in fact. But again, the 9 points is what's going to hurt you. And again, that's those turnovers, limiting your own possessions, unforced errors. And even though Washington State didn't necessarily score off the turnovers, they scored plenty off of the other opportunities the Gales gave them.
Just a tough entry pass from Afiaki, trying to thread the needle between 2 Cougars for Hunter. And now a travel is called in transition against Marta Alzina. Abigail Schaaf getting sent to check back in. For Washington State, Eleonora Villa, who had just 1 field goal in the first half alone, now with 12 points after a double-digit third quarter. Meanwhile, for St. Mary's, it's Maya Jones that leads all Gales with 11 points offensively.
11 points and 5 steals defensively. She has been everywhere for the Gales. She does have 3 turnovers. That's been the one Achilles heel today for Maya Jones, but otherwise she's done everything she can to keep the Gales tight with the Cougars tonight.
And St. Mary's 11 turnovers to Washington State's 12. St. Mary's has gotten 16 points off of them. Big difference from their loss last Thursday against the top rank in the conference, USF Dons. And there's that fourth turnover from Maya Jones.
Kind of gets caught in no man's land there. She runs into Mendez. Mendez sticks those arms up, not quite as imposing as Coville, but still able to alter what was either a pass or shot opportunity. Again, caught in that no man's land there for the turnover were the Gales.
Nice help defense from Schaaf. The ball popped loose, ends up right in the hands of Washington State. Wallach matched up with the Gales' best on-ball defender, Abigail Schaaf. After transferring over from Long Beach State, a big part of this recruiting class from Jeff Cannon. How about that block from Hunter? Jada Hunter with the rejection, out ahead, Schaaf stops, goes up, no foul. What a play on the other end, though.
Yeah, a couple of blocks from a couple of Gales point guards. Now, first out, Cuso in the first half. There, a big-time block by Jada Hunter, who earns the start for her defensive prowess and showing why now.
Johnson looking to keep Mendez in front, strips her, and then stepped on the baseline with possession of the ball, so it'll stay with the Cougars.
Good hands by Kennedy Johnson. We talk about the defense from Jada Hunter. We talk about the defense from Zoraya Alcuso. Blocking shots, stripping balls sometimes come as a bit of a surprise. No surprise there from Kennedy Johnson with the quick hands there to not allow a layup opportunity for Washington State. Instead, force them for this baseline inbound play with 15 on the shot clock and allow your defense to set up if you're the Gales.
A lot of versatility on the floor now for St. Mary's. Saw Emily Foy check into the game for Jada Hunter. 5 players all around the same size. Switchability, that's even a word. As Villa misses the 3, ball loose, Akuso over to try and keep it in and does so right to Foy.
Big time from Zoraya Alcuso. Gales have been on the hardwood all game long. First to the floor for those loose balls. And again, typically teams that are able to do that in the hustle stats are the teams that win basketball games.
Akuso, quick as a hiccup, and then denied by Wallach. Nice recovery, swatted it away. And Washington State will slow.
Talk about leading the shot blocking, leading the conference in shot blocking, that of course being Coville, but Wallach ranks number 2, and I think that's even more difficult. She doesn't have a 5-inch height difference on just about everyone she's defending like Coville does. Wallach, big time shot blocker as well in her own right at 6'2".
Well, Schaaf didn't block that shot, but made it very difficult and comes away with the rebound. St. Mary's again, keeping the empty possessions relatively high for Washington State to begin this fourth quarter, but this end of the floor has been the most difficult part to solve. Neither team has scored for the last 2:45.
Just 11 points for the Gales in the second half to Washington State's 21, and that's the difference right now.
3 to shoot. Johnson's got a hoist, gets the shot off, finds rim, but it falls right into the hands of Mendez. A lot of youth on the floor right now between both sides for St. Mary's. The sophomores of redshirt variety for Jones, but also Akuso and Foy. Schaaf, a junior. And then, of course, the freshman in Mendez for Washington State. Alcina, also a freshman, misses wide.
And Washington State continuing to dial up the 3-ball, even though it has not worked out so far in the fourth quarter. The Gales need to take advantage of these empty trips by the Cougars to get back into this thing.
Jones goes into the body of Mendez, misses. That'll trigger the transition. Wallach the other way. Misses the first, misses the second, and the third time is the charm.
I mean, you got to tip your cap there to the Gales. Zoraya Alcuso getting in front, making that a difficult trip, but nothing more she can do with no one else to help her. But see Wallach get the second and third chance opportunities, eventually convert on the third chance.
Jones, nifty move, little lefty hook, and scoops it, and then Schaaf commits a foul underneath on Mendez. That's going to be the second team foul against St. Mary's and the second personal against Schaaf.
A frustration foul there by Schaaf, but the Gales feeling like they can't get a whistle. Again, it's been a physical game both ways. Referees have let them play. But again, you bump a player like that on a rebound, of course you're going to draw the whistle, and Schaaf picks up her second foul.
So Hunter and Hashminor back into the game.
Switching up the backcourt are the Gales here, seeing if this can generate a little bit more offense. Obviously, the defense has been solid here for the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, but need to find a way to lift that lid off the hoop.
Wallach, Gardner hit 2 threes in the first half. Thought about taking that shot from distance. Also keeping the batteries charged as far as the St. Mary's lineup is concerned, there's a foul on the perimeter. It's going to go against the Gales, and it will be called on Hunter. Her second personal foul, and that will send us to our final media timeout. 5:55 left in the ball game. St. Mary's down by 7, and Washington
Out by the Gales, an unfortunate bounce off the front iron. Mendez does the rest, cleans it up, gets the offensive board and the putback, no hesitation. Prior to that, the Gales defense really had risen to the occasion in the fourth quarter. They needed to just lift the lid off the cup here. Struggling to do that, though, and a turnover certainly won't help.
Yeah, Jones is 5th of the game, and Coach Cameron said that this game was going to be won in the trenches. Maybe not in terms of the rebounding discrepancy, because that heavily favors Washington State, or even points in the paint, but second chance points right now. Washington State plus 11 in this game, as there's a foul underneath the basket, and it's going to go against St. Mary's and Heish Minor. 14th foul will be the first personal, but now you also got to think about Washington State, who is a good free throw shooting team, potentially being a threat to get to the free throw line the rest of the way.
It was an interesting swing in the second quarter. There were 5 fouls called against Washington State and none on the Gales. Now flipping the script here in the fourth quarter, and certainly you'd rather be Washington State in that position at the end of a game than at the end of the half for the Gales. Granted, the Gales did have a lead there and a chance to extend it.
There's a 3, and a big one for Washington State. Jenna Villa makes it a double-digit Cougars lead.
3 started falling in the second half. That's the difference. 5 of 11 from 3 in the second half for Washington State after going 3 for 14 in the first half.
Schaff faces up. St. Mary's looking for some semblance of offense, and Schaff with a little fadeaway puts it in.
Schaff has a really sweet stroke with that mid-range game. She can step out for 3 as well. She just needs to get more confidence with it. We saw her full of confidence against San Francisco with 19 points, but has been a bit more passive today. When she is shot, she's seen it go in.
And puts it on the heels of a 19-point career-high performance against USF a week to the day. Villa driving to the paint, floats one, and will draw contact. It's going to be against Schaff. And so Schaff is going to pick up her 3rd personal and the 15th foul. So the rest of the way, free throws for Washington State as Kennedy Johnson will check back in, but Villa is going to get to the free throw line. Eleanor Villa, in her sophomore season from Italy last year, scored the 2nd most points by a freshman in Washington State history. And this year has led the team in scoring at 13.8 points per game.
Really impressive player. Again, will vie for Conference Player of the Year. Scores at all 3 levels. You know, great speed as well. Defensively, clogs up passing lanes with that zone, stepping in front. Really everything you can dream of if you're a Cougs fan.
11-point Washington State lead with 3 to play. Danger zone for St. Mary's. Johnson drives baseline, runs into Mendez, and is able to force contact on the interior, and she'll get to the free throw line. A place that St. Mary's has not been at all in this second half. These are the first 2 free throw attempts upcoming for St. Mary's in the entire second half.
And that's just the first foul called against Washington State in the second half. Again, it's been a physical contest. Whistles haven't gone the way of the Gales. I think a lot of the players on the court for St. Mary's would say they drew a couple that they didn't get, but all in all, you got to win the game in the open court. And if you're not getting those calls, you got to be able to adjust.
No, and the free throw line, a big reason why Washington State was able to stay in this game in the first quarter, or at least keep it relatively level. But here in the second half, their defense has been much more effective against St. Mary's as Villa, moving quickly, stops underneath the basket, runs into a double team, and before the wrap-up, there's a timeout taken by Washington State. Well, that is a heads-up call by the head coach, Cammie Etheridge.
Yeah, it looked like a turnover that was about to be forced, or maybe not a turnover as the arrow favors Washington State.
Offense was how they got their easy looks.
And Washington State, credit to them, coming out of the halftime break, has created just as much havoc defensively as the Gales were able to do offensively in the first half, forcing turnovers, not letting the Gales cutters any space.
Speaking of forcing turnovers, St. Mary's gets it out ahead to Schaff, who lays it in nicely. Makes it a 7-point game with 2.5 to go.
Gales aren't going to go down quietly. I mean, they will fight. They will play their stifling brand of defense. Again, it'll lead to some open looks, but it'll also lead to turnovers forced, and that's how they're going to be able to Ball back into this thing, 2:20 down 7, not out of the question for a comeback.
Well, this is where Washington State's going to have to rely on someone like Tara Wallach.
Look, she'll stay on. She's a tough player, but again, a hard foul, one that has to be called. I get the frustration, but it's a turnover, and it, again, keeps the Gales' hopes very alive in this one.
Akuso stops, fades, floats it in. It's a 5-point game. St. Mary's down by 12 with 4 minutes left has now made it a 2-possession game. Villa into the paint. Quick shot, no good. Heischmann the rebound. That's a quick look for Washington State. Maybe not the best look, however.
It's that pressure defense. It speeds you up, Evan, and Washington State struggling to handle the pressure.
Akuso off the back of the rim, no good, no contact. Was looking for the foul there, and then Wallach gets fouled in the backcourt, and she will get free throws as Johnson commits the personal. 6-0 run for St. Mary's. Had a lot of momentum moving there as Johnson will pick up her second personal foul, and mentioned Washington State needing to rely on Wallach. Quietly one of the few upperclassmen on the floor at this time for Washington State. So a lot of inexperience on this Cougars side. First free throw up and good.
Look at the players on the court. You want to foul. I mean, Wallach is one of them. She's 72% from the stripe. I mean, a solid clip, but not quite the numbers that you'll see from some others. But you cannot give the offensive rebound up on a missed free throw. I mean, that is a major no-no when you're trying to make this comeback attempt. I mean, you had a missed free throw, kept the game at 2 possessions. Now a chance to go back up by 3 possessions for Washington State, and an even better free throw shooter heading to the line in the form of Jenna Villa. 3 of 3 today.
Yeah, Villa on the season, 73%. And, you know, that's kind of the 6 to 1, half dozen of the other. Heischmann is in the game for her defensive prowess and that ability to speed up Washington State as Villa hits both, but gives up a little bit of size and allows Washington State to get that offensive rebound. So Jones will check in for her. 1:20 to go now, back to an 8-point lead. After essentially a 3-point possession because you made the first of 2 and then got 2 on the back end from the free throw line. Jones here, being hounded by Gardner. Takes an Akuso screen. Dumps it off to Johnson. Johnson lost the handle as the 2 could not connect underneath. And that might have been St. Mary's last best chance.
Yeah, between the offensive rebound off the free throw, the made 2 free throws thereafter, the 3-point possession, and then the turnover and a chance for more points here. And that may be the nail in the coffin.
Is the dagger. Eleonora Villa with an and 1 opportunity with 50.4 seconds left, and it's a 10-point game.
Maybe not the loudest offensive game from Eleonora Villa, but when Washington State needed buckets, they turned to their leading scorer from Italy, and she answered the bell, especially in the second half. Big-time game for her, now right around her average. Just puts her at 16 points with the made free throw.
14 of which in half number 2. So Eleonora Villa, the 90% free throw shooter, puts it away and effectively puts St. Mary's away as Chu will check in along with Alzina for Washington State. And also a couple of substitutions for St. Mary's as Hunter will come back in along with Foy. So time for a couple of possessions here. Hunter gets fouled by Wallach going to the rack. Slow to get up, but helped by Schopf. And so Hunter will get to the free throw line, and Heischmann will now check in.
And, you know, of all the whistles we've seen today, I think that was one of the ones that had the least contact, and Wallach having words with the referee there. You know, I understand getting the whistle this late in the game, but not many whistles blown in this game in favor of the Gales in the second half. Not many blown either way, and the 3-pointers going down in the second half for Washington State, the big difference. They were 3 of 14 from beyond the arc in half number 1. Half number 2, they go 5 for 11, extend their lead out.
Hunter makes the first free throw as Murphy and Clark check back in for the Gales. And so right now, Hunter, Clark, and Johnson, the lone starters left in the game. Washington State with a second half surge. Shot nearly 50% from the field as Johnson gets the steal out of the backcourt press. Johnson will hoist from 3, misses. 2 Cougars come in and wrestle for the rebound that is now clamped by Clark, and there's a jump ball, possession arrow to Washington State with the shot clock being dark.
You can tip the cap for the Gales continuing to be an excellent free throw shooting team. 9 of 10 tonight. Obviously, small sample size tonight, but getting another 90% clip from the stripe, and that's something that they have really improved from a season ago, being able to knock down attempts at the stripe with frequency.
So head coach Etheridge is going to call a timeout and pretty much just going to put the finishing touches on this game. But St. Mary's, after a 4-0 start, is going to fall to 4-2 in conference play. And 2 of arguably the conference's best. You know, I think a pretty parity-driven conference this season in the WCC. And St. Mary's not predicted by the preseason poll to finish very high. I'm sure they turned some heads with their 4-0 start. And so not necessarily all for naught, but you know, this is when you start to get into the thick of the schedule. You have a couple of overtime victories, and now you're beginning to see some of those top-tier teams. They hung with USF with a second-half surge, came up short, and it was Washington State that sort of flipped the script on this game.
Yeah, you look at the schedule here for the Gales. They've hit a little bit of a roadblock. That 4-0 start now, what looks like will be their 2nd consecutive loss. But next up, you've got some winnable games. You got Pacific at home, you got Pepperdine at home, you go to San Diego, and then you've got Santa Clara at home. You've beaten 3 of those teams already. Pepperdine is a team that's on the rise, certainly, but still a younger squad, not the most dominant team in the WCC. So get your confidence back up for that, and then you'll have dates with some of the top dogs: Portland, Oregon State, Gonzaga, San Francisco, Portland again. And there you'll be able to continue to grow with some opportunities and then get better.
Well, Chu's going to take the final shot and miss, but Washington State, again, a second-half surge, including 5 3-point shots. They scored 35 points in the second half alone and hold St. Mary's to just 21 as they flip the script on this ball game and beat the Gales on the road by a final score of 66-57. So Washington State will move to 5-1, dropping St. Mary's to 4-2. Overall, though, again, a fantastic test for the Gales, who, as you mentioned, Ryan, began 4-0. They got some gettable games coming up. I think a good learning experience for St. Mary's, though they have 2 games in just a week. Of course, they played last Thursday against USF. They saw 2 of the conference's best, and now it's about what they can do against the rest.
Absolutely, and there were moments